As the BBC struggles with the biggest Strictly crisis in the show's 20-year history, Paralympian Will Bayley becomes the latest celebrity to speak out against the show.
Competing back in 2019, Will was forced to withdraw 6 weeks in after sustaining an injury during rehearsals.
To find out more about this behind-the-scenes experience, we're joined by Will live from the Paralympic training camp in Slovenia. Hello, Will. How are you?
Good morning.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How's the training going, Will? How's it going?
Going so well. I feel so ready. Bring on Tokyo. Sorry, Paris.
Tokyo.
Tokyo tracksuit on.
You're not in Tokyo, are you? Just make sure you're not in Tokyo, because that would be awful. Quickly, Will, overall, so how was your experience on Strictly overall?
Overall, I've got to say, it was unbelievably positive. And one thing that I really want to get out there is Jeanette was unbelievable. I worked so well with her. We're both so fiercely determined, and we both wanted to win, and we gave it everything. And she eked everything out of me that she could have done because I was rubbish at dancing. And I owe so much. And she made me feel so good. Overall, it was good. Obviously, some things that I said have been taken out of context a little bit. I think there's a lot of things to learn from my injury and from the fall, from jumping off the table that I did, and I don't think that's on her at all. But I do think, and I'm called, people have said I'm woke for saying this, but I think people with disabilities like mine, I've got severe arthritis in all 4 limbs, and there has to be some kind of someone to help those dancers, because it's a massive burden to have to take on to look after someone with a disability. But it's great that the show sort of want people with different disabilities in, but they have to be protected as well. And I don't think that should all go on the dancer to do that. I think there should be some kind of expert to look on and to look after those people, because, and me speaking out, I'm not going to, it is what it is, but if it does help one person to not have an injury like mine, then that is unbelievably good, and that's unbelievably positive. And I just wanted to say that, really.
Well, Will, let's go back a little bit, because I can remember the first few weeks you were absolutely incredible, and you really enjoyed your time on the show, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, thank you. I loved it. Yeah, I felt like I was in a dream, to be honest. I felt like I was out of body experience, because for a table tennis player, for a nobody like me to get on a show like that, I felt so grateful, and I felt so honoured. It was just it was crazy how big it is. I mean, I was just Paralympian, and when I got on the show, everyone knew who I was, and I was just it was surreal.
Well, you was a Paralympian, and with that comes, you're competitive and you're driven and you want to do absolutely everything. So tell us what happened when you got that injury. What led up to it? What was going on?
Yeah, so I mean, we were practicing the dance, and it was my favourite dance. I was so gutted I didn't get to perform. I was Casper the Friendly Ghost, and it was the jive. We had the jump in the sort of, I knew there was going to be a jump, but we didn't practice it in rehearsal, and then I did it in the dress rehearsal, and that's when I jumped off the table in the dress rehearsal, and that's when the accident happened, and it was just really, obviously it was traumatic for me, because having a disability anyway, having Tokyo coming up, that obviously got delayed since, so I was so lucky about that I got a chance to compete. It was hard. It was really, really hard for me at the time. Obviously, I mean, I've been through a lot worse. Everyone who knows my life stories knows that I've been through a lot worse, but I mean, it was still very challenging, especially on that massive, like you say, everyone knows about Strictly. It's a massive show. Under that sort of scrutiny, then not being able to walk for 6 months, having that recovery time, feeling lonely at times. I mean, it was mentally hard, not just for me, but probably more so for my family, who had to put up with me struggling.
And what was
not what was me, it's how can we learn from this? How can we support people with disabilities going into these shows? And again, I'm scared to say it, because I sound woke saying it, some people say, but I mean, Jesus, if you can't say that, then I don't know what you can say, really, to be quite honest.
But what was the care like on the show after you received your injury?
Well, I was grateful that they covered my surgery. I think it was just I just felt that it was there wasn't a lot of communication after the surgery, and it was just like get on with the recovery, and like I just felt there could have been a bit more there, and I felt like immediately after my fall, I did just go to a hotel room and I got ice put onto my knee, and I just felt like if that was my daughter or something, I'd like her to be taken to hospital and checked out straight away, and I had to sit there all night, and I was calling my mum, and I'm not a baby, I'm an adult, but like I was put in a big situation under a lot of stress. I was put in a hotel room after tearing my ACL, and I felt like that probably wasn't the best move, but like just that's just my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm deluded, but that's how I felt.
But Jeanette,
I'm not
Jeanette
bringing this up. Can I say I'm not bringing this up now? Like people say, you're joining the bandwagon. I've written to the BBC, like not me personally, but I've asked someone to help me write a letter.
Will, don't worry.
People say I'm joining the bandwagon. I've had loads of people, like Strictly supporters and stuff, saying you're disgusting for joining this bandwagon. My situation is so unique. Every disability is so unique, I've said this for years, but like because there's other things coming out, people are starting to listen to what I've got to say for the first time. But like I've said this for years, and also internally as well. I did write a letter and all that stuff. So I just wanted to say that because I've had so many people like so negative about what I've said, and it's not about that. It's how do we move forward with it? I mean, it's not my. It's really not my personality to be negative. I just want to move forward, but like learn. Any good corporation would learn from these kind of mistakes, and I've got to live with this. I've got to live with this injury, you know, forever. Like, so I have to deal with it, and I think some kind of responsibility, some kind of sorry would have been amazing for me to hear. Amazing, it would be really nice.
It must be so difficult to speak out on something like this. How do you feel about speaking out about it? Does any part of you, you say you're getting some sort of form of backlash and stuff, do you regret it, or do you think it's worth it for what sort of can help in the future?
Not really. I've been through a lot worse. I mean, I can deal with people's comments, and I think if it helps disabled people out, I'm not just saying in Strictly, but in the workplace. Yeah. No, a bit. I mean, I just think that it is harder for people with a disability going into any kind of situation like that. I mean, I'm just speaking on behalf of myself. I don't want to speak on behalf of every single disabled person because everyone's so unique. Everyone's got their own needs. But on behalf of myself, to go into a situation like that and to be put in a situation like that, I believe is really not great. And I wouldn't want someone else to go through that, have to make that decision for themselves. I think there should be more support around those sort of people because it is challenging. It is more hard, and there are way more like dangers for people with physical disabilities, like more than the normal people. But I'm also quite openly will say that people can get injured anyway. Like the injuries happen, but mine could have definitely been avoided. I believe if the right care was in place, and I hope it changes. That's all I want, really.
And by all means, we know we're not beating up on Jeanette. She was a great pro, and I think there is a lot of pressure on the pros to be wonderful. And I know she checked up on you as well, didn't she, when you wasn't very well? Yeah,
amazing pro. She's been so, you know, she was so supportive during the show. You know, we all, like I said, we're both so competitive, and we wanted to win, and she wanted to push me. She wanted to get the best out of me, and that's what you want from any kind of team. Really, that's what you want from any kind of teacher. She was so professional, so supportive, and thanks. Very talented presenter, and I want the best for her for sure.
Well, Jeanette has come with a spokesperson. Jeanette had a great time dancing with Will, and one of her favourite moments on the show was doing their contemporary couples choice. Her celebrity partner's safety and enjoyment was always a priority throughout the time on Strictly. Jeanette has never received any complaints and has maintained friendships with all her partners, including Will.
And the BBC have also got a right to reply, and they've said, we have a long-standing protocols for dealing with injuries if they occur, and that includes contestants receiving all necessary treatment and support as required. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You've been asking, and good luck with the Paralympics.
Yeah,
it's going to be so great.
Thanks so much. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Try and get the gold medal.
Yeah, get the gold, Bab. Get the gold.
Love you, buddy. Wonderful stuff.
Thanks for joining us, Will.